I agree with you, and I will just add quickly. It's statistics are nice; they'll help you understand some facts. But the problem I'm trying to convey is people are taking this one stat and they're trying to make a whole movie out of it. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa! You only had one piece. You had one scene. You can't make a whole Tubi movie off of this.
Well, yes, you can. That's why you got a Tubi budget.
Yeah. So, listen.
So just
Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so, so there's a whole bunch of context missing from this conversation, and it's not that women apply for for the rights of the child first. That's typically not how it works. Most of the time, a father will leave the home because you're not gonna. Most dads, and I'm not talking about that subset of guys that we were just talking about that don't give a damn. Most dads will leave the home to give the woman the peace and to ensure that the child has a roof over its head, because we can't really forcibly well, we could, but we really don't forcibly remove the woman. Then um somewhere in the process, heaven forbid she has to get WIC or some type of state aid. Now the state is going to come after the father for child support, and that happens. I'd have to look it up, but I'd say that happens at least 30 to 35% of the time. It's the state that actually initiates the child support proceedings. Then, when you go into the child support proceeding, it's not about you trying to get custody of your kid. That's not why you are there, and the state is not going to be there to litigate that for you. They're going to say, "Hey, you make X amount." First, they're going to ask you, is the baby with mom or the dad?" Once it's confirmed it's with the mom, yo, you make X amount. The state requires you to pay X amount. Now the father has to retroactively go back and then try to get some type of custody or visitation. And that in itself is a very expensive and long process, depending on how the mother wants to proceed in very many cases. Then once they get visitation, then before you can even start to talk about getting more rights to your kid, you have to show, as a man, you have to show consistency, and then you have to take them back to court, which is another petition filing. Like it becomes a very long and hard road for a man that's already probably not making a ton of money. And
so
aside from that, he's making a lot less money now that the child support people have decided to put their hands in your pocket. I personally think that this is just my opinion. I'm not pulling up any stats or I'm not Googling it, but I think a lot of it is keeps a lot of people in jobs.
um, it keeps a lot of people in what? I'm sorry.
He
In
said,
jobs,
In jobs.
mm-hmm. But
from
Okay.
states to
yeah,
lawyers, you can
right.
family practitioners. I mean, it's a whole business.
Well, I know you said you ain't looking up stats or whatever, but I remember reading before that if the mother, like you said, are like receiving any kind of welfare or anything like that, TANF, I think that's what they call it, that almost 100% of that child support goes directly to the state anyway. Like they said, sometimes or a certain percentage of it, like they end up keeping most of it because that parent is technically already being taken care of through the
And you're
state.
paying the state back.
Right. So you're paying the state back. So they don't even get that money really. But if the parent is not, let's say, receiving any funds from the state, that the state still takes a small percentage, but the custodial parent get most of that child support.
It's an administrative fee.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it's a bit. I mean, because the paperwork, there, the people have to have, it's things behind it. I'm pretty sure it's not a great a big. When I saw it, wasn't like a crazy fee. It was like
$25 a year or something like that, from what
yeah,
I had read before. Yeah.
I wanted to ask AP, what is your solution? I know HDTV brought up a solution. I don't know if I have one besides the marriage. But what do you think is the solution? Because it sounds, just thinking about it, it just doesn't seem like the out of wedlock child family creation is going to lead to financial success.
That's a very interesting question. And if I honestly had a real answer to it, I would have already submitted it to my state legislature, because it's a real problem. The entire system itself is broken, and people are broken. There's entirely, like, why are we having out of wedlock sex? Like, do we really enjoy sex? I mean, never mind. I ain't gonna ask that question. Like, do we really enjoy it that much to where we busting them down? Yeah, we are. But I don't. I honestly, man, I really don't have a solution. I have a common ground answer, and I think that that's the best we can hope for, and that's to have the money go straight to a card, so everybody knows where the money is being spent. And I think that's a lot of men's gripes is, yo, I'm gonna use my friend as an example if I can. He was making pretty good money. So I mean, he's a that mid six figure guy, but he's paying $1,700 a month for one kid, and it was her buying a new house, her upgrading her car, like these things that we see, and it's like, yo, I'm still living in this fucking 1-bedroom apartment, and I'm the one making the money. So
you said she upgraded her car.
So the female I'm talking about specifically, she basically went from a Hyundai to a Benz.
Job?
Her job didn't change. Matter of fact, she ain't no baller like that.
Is that let's say she was getting $1,700 a month towards child support, right? Then my thing is, if she ends up getting a car or she gets something else, that does not mean that it was that money that did that. What I'm saying is, if I got $1,700 and part of that money is going to pay part of the rent, right? Help with the groceries, right? The basic necessities, right? If the child is doing extracurricular activities, like Shan said, using that money actually helps freeze up the money that I've been working for. So if I'm putting my money away and using the child support to pay for those basic necessities that I need, yes, that frees me up to not have to use more of my money towards those expenses.
But he's saying that her job she can't afford that car on her job. The job that she has, she can't afford that car naturally.
Okay.
So she used it as an upgrade.
Okay.
To her lifestyle. But what I will say, because he fought for like 2 years and ended up paying a little over $34K in legal fees, and they ended up with what is it? He had her for half the year, and his ex-girlfriend had her for half the year. I don't know what kind of custody that's called, but he had to fight to get that. And either men will either not have the money or not really have the time, because that requires time. It was that one. I don't know if that was a special case, but like
state,
nobody's
state too. It depends on the state. In Georgia, they love giving the kids to daddies.
That could be true. I can't argue it. I don't know the stat on it, but yeah, he had to fight, and it was rough. And I think that not enough people speak up for those men. So to answer MT's question, I wish I had a solution, because back then I didn't have one. I don't have one now, but it's more about maybe we can. Well, the solution is to not put your seed in a woman until she got your last name. That's the actual solution. If I'm gonna keep it a stack. But outside of that, I think a lot of the I think a lot of the complaining is, man, where that money going? And there are scenarios like hers and his that this is like, shit, I'm upgrading my lifestyle based off of your money, and that's not what that money is for.